It has instantly stopped civil aviation in this area, having worldwide ramifications for travel for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of travellers. And it has rattled the Middle East, particularly the Gulf countries, who are now furious. We're hearing the Saudis are furious with what's happened from Iran in these last 24 hours of the fight back. The UAE will be the same. It has the potential here to decimate their tourism industry. We saw rockets and missiles around the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest tower. We saw some of their upmarket luxury six-star hotels attacked, taking damage. The airport as well, Dubai, the biggest in the world, also sustaining damage. These images and that fear will ripple around the world and affect tourism, affect business and increase anger within the Gulf region.
A huge knock-on effect. Chris, stand by. We'll come back to you because obviously there's still a lot developing as we're on air. Now, the attack is aimed at ending 47 years of tyrannical rule and repression in Iran. The architect of the military operation is Donald Trump. The world had been watching and waiting for America to make its move, and last night Trump hit go on what is the biggest gamble of his presidency so far. This is a bit of what he had to say.
For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer.
Yeah, so let's bring in our US correspondent Rob Scott now, who's in Washington, D.C. Rob, good evening from here. Now, the strike has brought a lot of praise and a lot of condemnation.
Yeah, it certainly has, Michael. Look, as with a lot of what Donald Trump does, this decision has been deeply, deeply divisive. There are a lot of Americans who feel that he made the right call when he ordered these strikes, that he'd been backed into a corner by the Iranians, especially after they appeared to be playing games around those negotiations to end their nuclear weapons program. But on the flip side of that, there have been mass protests right across this country. We saw many protests here in Washington, D.C. over the last 24 hours, people feeling that the president has betrayed them, especially after he ran on a policy, a platform of being a president for peace, of not wanting to drag America into what he called stupid wars. And they feel that he has gone against what he promised. And the Democrats here are equally unhappy, not so much with the end result, the death of the Supreme Leader, but the way in which that came about. They say that Donald Trump did not bother to come to Congress to ask for permission, to seek permission to launch these strikes, or even basically to lay out why he felt now was the right time to do that. And so they're going to try to push for a vote next week to try to limit the president's war powers.
And of course, what matters with all of this is not just what happens, but what comes next. Because yes, I don't like the Iranian regime. They chant death to America. They kill their own people nonstop. But we don't want it replaced by an even more hardline regime. We want it replaced by a more moderate pro-Western regime. And this is just a crapshoot at this point. We don't know what's going to happen next.
So that congressman makes a very good point, Michael. The aerial bombardment alone won't bring about regime change. Sure, it's going to act as a catalyst, but a lot relies on the Iranian people to rise up. And the fact is, that is such a diverse country. There is not an official or a united opposition. So what comes next is really anyone's guess.
Is the question. We're going to be talking about that in just a minute or two. Rob Scott there in Washington, D.C. Thank you. Now, Donald Trump claims motivation for this strike is protecting European allies from an Iranian nuclear threat. Europe correspondent Jacqueline Robson's live in London for us. Jackie, Britain is one of America's closest allies. However, it seemed to be a bit sidelined by all of this and left out of Operation Epic Fury. But how's it been received there?
Yeah, well, Michael, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer was quick to distance the country from these US-led strikes, saying the UK had no involvement, but did indicate tactical support, saying British planes were in the sky, helping with coordinated defensive operations. It is clear the UK is somewhat uncomfortable with these surprise strikes in the middle of diplomatic negotiations, but some of the big European leaders, France, Germany and the UK, have issued a joint statement putting the onus back on Tehran to come to the negotiating table even as missiles fly around the Middle East. France's Emmanuel Macron was a little bit stronger in his language. He said that this military escalation is dangerous for all. It must stop. And he did say France was not given the heads up. It seems Germany may have been the only country given prior warning of what was to come. But these three European countries were central in in crafting the 2015 nuclear program with Tehran that was abandoned by Donald Trump in 2018. And the US president has kept his European allies at arm's length when it comes to foreign policy decisions.